In this video we are taking a look at 3 business books. Welcome to Book World, the place where readers get inspired. Let's get started. Here are 3 business book of the day. Number 1. The Hard Sell. The inside story of a band of entrepreneurial upstarts who made millions selling painkillers until their scheme unraveled, putting them at the center of a landmark criminal trial. A fast-paced and maddening account until I read The Hard Sell, about the outrageous behavior of an obscure drug company. I hadn't appreciated the full extent of the filth or the dark stain the opioid sector has left on the entire industry. What's most surprising and powerful about The Hard Sell is not one company's criminality. We've grown inured to corporations behaving badly, as much as how institutionalized these practices were across the modern drug industry. New York Times Book Review. John Kapoor had already amassed a small fortune in pharmaceuticals when he founded INSEAS Therapeutics. It was the early 2000s, a boom time for painkillers, and he developed a novel formulation of fentanyl, the most potent opioid on the market. Kapoor, a brilliant immigrant scientist with relentless business instincts, was eager to make the most of his innovation. He gathered around him an ambitious group of young lieutenants. His head of sales, an unstable and unmanageable leader, but a genius of persuasion, built a team willing to pull every lever to close a sale, going so far as to recruit an exotic dancer ready to scrape her way up. They zeroed in on the eccentric and suspect doctors receptive to their methods. Employees at headquarters did their part by deceiving insurance companies. The drug was a niche product, approved only for cancer patients in dire condition, but the company's leadership pushed it more widely, and together they turned INSEAS into a Wall Street sensation. But several insiders reached their breaking point and blew the whistle. They sparked a sprawling investigation that would lead to a dramatic courtroom battle, breaking new ground in the government's fight to hold the drug industry accountable in the spread of addictive opioids. In The Hard Sell, National Magazine Award finalist Evan Hughes lays bare the pharma playbook. He draws on unprecedented access to insiders of the INSEAS saga, from top executives to foot soldiers, from the patients and staff of far-flung clinics to the Boston investigators who treated the case as a drug trafficking conspiracy, flipping cooperators and closing in on the key players. With colorful characters and true suspense, The Hard Sell offers a bracing look, not just at INSEAS, but at how opioids are sold at the point they first enter the national bloodstream, in the doctor's office. Number 2. The Revolution That Wasn't. GameStop, Reddit, and the Fleecing of Small Investors. By Spencer Jakab. The saga of GameStop and other meme stocks is revealed with the skill of a thrilling whodunit. Jakab writes with an anti-Midas touch. If he touched gold, he would bring it to life. Burton G. Malkiel, author of A Random Walk Down Wall Street. From Wall Street Journal columnist Spencer Jakab, the real story of the GameStop squeeze and the surprising winners of a rigged game. During one crazy week in January 2021, a motley crew of retail traders on Reddit's Wall Street Bets forum had seemingly done the impossible. They had brought some of the biggest, richest players on Wall Street to their knees. Their weapon was GameStop, a failing retailer whose shares briefly became the most traded security on the planet, and the subject of intense media coverage. The Revolution That Wasn't is the riveting story of how the meme stock squeeze unfolded, and of the real architects and winners of the GameStop rally. Drawing on his years as a stock analyst at a major bank, Jakab exposes technological and financial innovations such as Robinhood's habit-forming smartphone app is poised to get our dollars within the larger story of evolving social and economic pressures. The surprising truth? What appeared to be a watershed moment, a revolution that stripped the ultra-powerful hedge funds of their market influence, placing power back in the hands of everyday investors only, tilted the odds further in the house's favor. Online brokerages love to talk about empowerment and democratizing finance, while profiting from the mistakes and volatility created by novice investors. In this nuanced analysis, Jakab shines a light on the often misunderstood profit motives and financial mechanisms to show how this so-called revolution is, on balance, a bonanza for Wall Street. But, Jakab argues, there really is a way for ordinary investors to beat the pros by refusing to play their game. Number 3. Worn. A People's History of Clothing. By Sophie Thanhauser. A sweeping and captivatingly told history of clothing, and the stuff it is made of, an unparalleled deep dive into how everyday garments have transformed our lives, our societies, and our planet. We learn that, if we were a bit more curious about our clothes, they would offer us rich, interesting and often surprising insights into human history, a deep and sustained inquiry into the origins of what we wear, and what we have worn for the past 500 years. The Washington Post. In this panoramic social history, Sophie Thanhauser brilliantly tells 5 stories: linen, cotton, silk, synthetics, wool, about the clothes we wear and where they come from, illuminating our world in unexpected ways. She takes us from the opulent court of Louis XIV to the labor camps in modern-day Chinese-occupied Xinjiang. We see how textiles were once dyed with lichen, shells, bark, saffron, and beetles, displaying distinctive regional weaves and knits, and how the modern Western garment industry has refashioned our attire into the homogeneous and disposable uniforms popularized by fast fashion brands. Thanhauser makes clear how the clothing industry has become one of the planet's worst polluters, and how it relies on chronically underpaid and exploited laborers. But she also shows us how micro-communities, textile companies, and clothing makers in every corner of the world are rediscovering ancestral and ethical methods for making what we wear. Drawn from years of intensive research and reporting from around the world, and brimming with fascinating stories, Warren reveals to us that our clothing comes not just from the countries listed on the tags or ready-made from our factories. It comes, as well, from deep in our histories. Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe.